Welcome to Coin Worth Million, a channel dedicated to valuable old coins with unbelievable prices. Here, a single rare coin can be worth millions of dollars, capable of turning collectors and coin lovers into millionaires. We explore rare, historic, and rare coins, hidden treasures. The 1979 United States quarter dollar is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, a cornerstone of American coinage that reflects the political history, economic conditions, minting technology, and everyday commerce of the United States in the late 20th century. Although 1979 quarters are generally considered common circulation coins, they hold strong historical and educational value for collectors, especially those interested in modern U.S. coinage, mint varieties, condition rarity, and the broader monetary environment of the post-Vietnam, post-Bretton Woods era. Understanding the 1979 quarter requires examining not only its physical characteristics, but also the social, economic, and numismatic background that shaped its production and use. The Washington quarter design, used in 1979, was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. What began as a one-year commemorative issue proved so popular that it replaced the standing Liberty quarter permanently. By 1979, the Washington quarter had already been in production for nearly 5 decades, making it a familiar and trusted denomination in American daily life. The design symbolizes stability, continuity, and respect for the nation's first president, qualities that were particularly important during a decade marked by inflation, energy crises, and economic uncertainty. On the obverse front of the 1979 quarter appears a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Washington's hair is tied in a queue at the back, reflecting 18th-century fashion, and his expression is calm and dignified. Above his head is the word, Liberty, a core American ideal, while the motto, In God We Trust, appears to the left. The date, 1979, is placed to the right of Washington's portrait. The obverse design emphasizes leadership, freedom, and moral grounding, values deeply embedded in American identity. The reverse back of the 1979 quarter features a heraldic bald eagle with wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation. Beneath the eagle is an olive branch, representing peace. Above the eagle is the inscription, United States of America, and below it is the denomination, quarter dollar. The Latin motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one, is placed above the eagle, reinforcing the idea of unity among states and citizens. This reverse design, used from 1932 until 1998, became one of the most recognized images in American numismatics. From a technical standpoint, the 1979 quarter is composed of a copper-nickel clad structure, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition was introduced in 1965, when rising silver prices made silver coinage too expensive for circulation. The total weight of the coin is 5.67 grams, with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and a reeded edge containing 119 reeds. The shift from silver to clad coinage marked a major transformation in U.S. monetary policy, reflecting changing global metal markets and economic realities. In 1979, Washington quarters were struck at 3 different U.S. mint facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, the Denver Mint produced coins with a D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint struck proof coins bearing an S mint mark. Each mint played a distinct role. Philadelphia and Denver primarily supplied circulation coinage for everyday use, while San Francisco focused on high-quality proof coins intended for collectors. The Philadelphia Mint 1979P produced a very large number of quarters, making them extremely common in circulation both at the time of issue and today. These coins were used extensively in vending machines, parking meters, laundromats, and general commerce. Because of their heavy circulation, most surviving examples show wear, contact marks, and loss of original luster. However, uncirculated examples with strong strikes and minimal marks can still attract collector interest. The Denver Mint 1979D also produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 1979. Denver minted quarters are similarly common, but collectors sometimes compare strike quality between Philadelphia and Denver issues. Some Denver coins show slightly sharper details in Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers, though this can vary widely depending on die condition and minting batch. The San Francisco Mint 1979S issued proof quarters, which were not intended for circulation. Proof coins are struck using specially prepared dies in polished planchettes, often multiple times, to create sharp details and mirrored fields. These coins were sold in proof sets to collectors and typically preserved carefully. Proof 1979S quarters are far more visually impressive than circulation strikes and are valued accordingly, especially when free from scratches or haze. The economic context of 1979 adds depth to the study of this coin. The United States was experiencing high inflation, rising interest rates, and the aftermath of the 1970s energy crisis. Coinage production remained high because quarters were essential for daily transactions, especially as prices increased and higher denominations were needed for routine purchases. The quarter, worth 25 cents, became even more important in automated systems and public transportation. From a collector's perspective, the 1979 quarter is usually classified as a modern circulation coin, meaning it does not command high prices in worn condition. In circulated grades, a 1979P or 1979D quarter is typically worth face value. However, in uncirculated mint state condition, especially grades like Mississippi 65 or higher, values can increase modestly. Coins with strong luster, minimal bag marks, and attractive eye appeal are more desirable. Proof 1979S quarters generally carry higher value than circulation strikes, though they are still considered affordable by most collectors. Their value depends on condition, cameo contrast, and whether they are part of an original proof set. Deep cameo examples, where the frosted devices strongly contrast with mirrored fields, are especially prized. Collectors also examine mint errors and varieties among 1979 quarters. While no major double die varieties are famous for this year, minor errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, broad strikes, and die cracks can occur. These error coins are scarce and can command premiums depending on the severity and visibility of the error. In the broader scope of American numismatics, the 1979 quarter represents the final decades of the original Washington quarter reverse design, which would eventually be replaced in 1999 by the 50-state quarters program. That later program transformed coin collecting in the United States by attracting millions of new collectors. The 1979 quarter thus belongs to the classic modern era just before that major change. Historically, the 1979 quarter also reflects the stability of U.S. coin design during the late 20th century. While other denominations, such as the dollar coin, underwent experimental redesigns around this time, the quarter remained visually consistent, reinforcing public trust and recognition. This consistency helped maintain the quarter's role as one of the most heavily used coins in American commerce. For collectors building date and mintmark sets, the 1979 quarter is an essential but easily obtainable piece. It is often collected alongside other late 1970s quarters to illustrate differences in strike quality, mint output, and preservation. For educational collections, it serves as a clear example of clad coinage and post-silver U.S. monetary policy. In conclusion, the 1979 United States quarter dollar may not be rare or highly valuable in monetary terms, but it holds significant historical, cultural, and numismatic importance. It represents continuity in American coin design, the economic realities of the late 1970s, and the everyday life of millions of people who used these coins daily. For collectors, historians, and coin enthusiasts, the 1979 quarter offers a rich story that goes far beyond its modest face value of 25 cents. The 1965 United States quarter dollar occupies one of the most important and transformative positions in the entire history of American coinage. More than just a circulating 25-cent piece, the 1965 quarter represents a decisive break between the silver era of U.S. money and the modern clad coinage system still in use today. For collectors, historians, and economists alike, the 1965 quarter is a symbol of changing times, an object born out of metal shortages, rising silver prices, public hoarding, and major legislative reform. Understanding this coin requires examining not only its design and minting process, but also the political, economic, and cultural forces that shaped its existence. The Washington quarter design, used on the 1965 quarter, was originally introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse portrait of Washington quickly became one of the most recognizable images in American currency. By 1965, this design had already been in use for more than 30 years, symbolizing continuity and national stability during decades that included the Great Depression, World War II, and the early Cold War. The retention of this familiar design during a time of major internal change helped reassure the public as the U.S. monetary system evolved. On the obverse front of the 1965 quarter, George Washington is shown facing left, his hair tied in a traditional colonial queue. The word, "Liberty," arches across the top of the coin, while the national motto, "In God We Trust," appears to the left of Washington's neck. The date, 1965, is placed to the right. While the design itself remained unchanged from previous years, the metal beneath the design marked a revolutionary shift in American coinage. The reverse back of the 1965 quarter features the classic heraldic bald eagle, wings spread, holding arrows in its talons with an olive branch below. Above the eagle is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, while the inscriptions, United States of America, and quarter dollar, frame the design. This reverse had been used since 1932 and would continue until 1998, becoming one of the longest-running designs in U.S. history. In 1965, however, the reverse design concealed a dramatic change in metal composition. Before 1965, U.S. quarters were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, giving them intrinsic bullion value. By the early 1960s, rising silver prices and growing public awareness led to widespread hoarding of silver coins. Many Americans began removing quarters, dimes, and half dollars from circulation, melting or saving them for their silver content. This created severe coin shortages, disrupting commerce across the country. To address this crisis, the U.S. government passed the Coinage Act of 1965, one of the most significant monetary laws in American history. This legislation eliminated silver from circulating dimes and quarters and reduced the silver content of half dollars. As a result, the 1965 quarter became the first regular issue U.S. quarter made without silver, introducing a copper-nickel clad composition that remains standard today. The 1965 quarter is composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. Visually, the clad composition gives the coin a slightly different color and edge appearance compared to earlier silver quarters. When viewed from the side, the copper core is visible as a thin reddish line, a clear identifier of post-1964 quarters. Another remarkable feature of the 1965 quarter is the absence of mint marks. To discourage hoarding and speculation during the transition away from silver, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all circulating coins dated 1965, 1966, and 1967. As a result, 1965 quarters bear no P, D, or S mint mark, even though they were struck at multiple mint facilities, primarily Philadelphia and Denver. This policy makes the 1965 quarter unique within the Washington quarter series. Production of the 1965 quarter was extremely high. The U.S. Mint struck over 1.8 billion quarters dated 1965, one of the largest mintages in American history. This massive output was necessary to replace hoarded silver coins and restore confidence in the nation's coin supply. Due to this enormous mintage, the 1965 quarter is very common in circulated condition and remains easily obtainable today. Despite its abundance, the 1965 quarter holds strong historical importance. It represents the exact moment when American circulating coinage ceased to be tied directly to precious metal value. This shift allowed the government greater flexibility in monetary policy and ensured that coins could continue to circulate without being withdrawn for their metal content. From a collector's standpoint, most circulated 1965 quarters are worth face value. However, uncirculated examples, especially those graded Mississippi 65 or higher, can carry modest premiums. Coins with sharp strikes, strong luster, and minimal contact marks are increasingly difficult to find due to heavy circulation over several decades. Unlike later years, the U.S. Mint did not issue proof coins dated 1965. Proof production was suspended from 1965 through 1967 and replaced with special mint sets (SMS). Some 1965 quarters from these sets display better than average strikes and surfaces, though they are not true proofs. High-quality SMS quarters are collectible and can be valuable in top condition. Collectors also search for mint errors and varieties among 1965 quarters. Common errors include off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, broad strikes, lamination errors, and die cracks. Because of the massive production numbers, some error coins survived, and dramatic examples can command significant premiums. The 1965 quarter also holds a special place in educational collections. It is often used to teach new collectors how to distinguish silver coins from clad coins, how economic pressures influence coinage, and how government policy can reshape everyday money. In this way, the coin serves as a tangible link between numismatics and economic history. Culturally, the 1965 quarter reflects the broader changes of the mid-1960s, a period marked by social transformation, technological advancement, and shifting global dynamics. Just as American society was evolving, so too was its money, adapting to new realities while preserving familiar symbols. In conclusion, the 1965 United States quarter dollar is far more than a common circulating coin. It is a milestone in American monetary history, marking the end of silver coinage for quarters and the beginning of the modern clad era. While it may not be rare in terms of quantity, its historical significance, legislative background, and role in everyday American life make it one of the most important quarters ever issued. For collectors, historians, and coin enthusiasts, the 1965 quarter stands as a powerful reminder that even ordinary coins can tell extraordinary stories. The 1990 United States quarter dollar is a significant coin in the Washington quarter series, a design that has dominated U.S. coinage since its introduction in 1932. Although it may seem ordinary, the 1990 quarter represents a critical period in American history, reflecting economic stability, modern minting practices, and the final years of the classic Washington quarter design before the state quarters program began in 1999. This coin is not only a circulating medium of 25 cents but also a symbol of continuity, national identity, and the evolution of U.S. numismatics. The obverse front features a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan in 1932 for the bicentennial of Washington's birth. The word, liberty, appears above, "In God We Trust," is to the left, and the date, 1990, is on the right. The familiar obverse design emphasizes leadership, freedom, and historical continuity. The reverse back depicts a heraldic bald eagle with outstretched wings holding arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing strength and peace. It carries the inscriptions, United States of America, quarter dollar, and the motto, E pluribus unum. This reverse design was used consistently from 1932 to 1998. The composition of the 1990 quarter is copper-nickel clad, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel surrounding a pure copper core. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. Unlike the pre-1965 silver quarters, this coin does not contain any silver, reflecting a shift in U.S. monetary policy that began with the Coinage Act of 1965. The 1990 quarters were struck at 3 U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia P, Denver D, and San Francisco S. Philadelphia and Denver produced coins for circulation, while San Francisco produced proof coins for collectors. Circulated 1990p and 1990d quarters are abundant, typically worth face value, but high-grade uncirculated coins Mississippi 65 or higher may command premiums. Proof 1990s quarters, with mirrored fields and frosted devices, are highly collectible, especially in deep cameo condition. Economically, the 1990 quarter represents a period of relative stability in the U.S. economy, following the inflationary pressures of the 1970s and early 1980s. It played a central role in everyday commerce, used in vending machines, parking meters, public transportation, and general transactions. Its widespread use made it a familiar coin to all Americans during that time. Numismatically, collectors study 1990 quarters for mint marks, grading, and minor errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, broad strikes, and die cracks. While no major double die varieties are known for 1990, error coins are scarce and valuable to collectors. The coin also serves as a teaching tool for distinguishing clad composition from older silver coins and understanding modern U.S. minting processes. In conclusion, the 1990 United States quarter dollar is a common yet historically significant coin. It embodies continuity in design, modern minting technology, and a snapshot of American life before the transformative 50-state quarters program. While not rare, it is valued for its historical, cultural, and numismatic importance, representing a vital chapter in the story of American coinage. The 1995 United States quarter dollar is part of the long-running Washington quarter series, one of the most recognizable and widely circulated coin designs in American history. Although at first glance the 1995 quarter may seem like a common modern coin, it represents a very important period in U.S. numismatics, the final years of the classic Washington quarter before the revolutionary 50-state quarters program began in 1999. For collectors, historians, and coin enthusiasts, the 1995 quarter provides valuable insight into late 20th century minting technology, economic conditions, and the everyday monetary life of Americans during the mid-1990s. The Washington quarter design was originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Sculpted by John Flanagan, the obverse portrait quickly became a permanent fixture on U.S. quarters due to its popularity and symbolic strength. By 1995, this design had already been in use for more than 6 decades, making it a powerful symbol of national continuity. During a time when American society was rapidly modernizing through technology and globalization, the familiar image of Washington on the quarter provided a sense of stability and tradition. On the obverse front of the 1995 quarter appears a left-facing bust of George Washington, shown with tied hair in the style of the 18th century. Above his head is the inscription, "Liberty," while the national motto, "In God We Trust," appears to the left of his neck. The date, 1995, is placed to the right. The design remains clean, balanced, and dignified, emphasizing leadership, freedom, and the enduring ideals upon which the United States was founded. The reverse back of the 1995 quarter features the traditional heraldic bald eagle, wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows to symbolize strength and military readiness. Beneath the eagle lies an olive branch, representing peace and diplomacy. Above the eagle is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, and surrounding the design are the inscriptions, United States of America, and quarter dollar. This reverse design had been in continuous use since 1932 and would remain until 1998, making the 1995 quarter one of the final regular issue coins with this historic eagle motif. The metal composition of the 1995 quarter reflects modern U.S. coinage standards. Like all quarters minted after 1964, it is made of a copper-nickel-clad structure, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. This composition was designed to replace silver coinage, ensuring durability and cost efficiency while maintaining a familiar look and feel. In 1995, quarter dollars were produced at 3 U.S. Mint facilities. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins with a P mint mark, the Denver Mint produced coins with a D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint issued proof coins with an S mint mark. Philadelphia and Denver quarters were intended for everyday circulation, while San Francisco proofs were struck specifically for collectors using specially prepared dies and polished planchettes. The 1995 P quarter was produced in very large quantities and circulated widely across the United States. These coins were commonly used in vending machines, parking meters, toll booths, and daily retail transactions. Because of heavy circulation, most surviving examples show wear, surface marks, and reduced luster. However, uncirculated examples preserved in mint condition are still collected, especially those with strong strikes and clean surfaces. The 1995 D quarter was also struck in massive numbers and is equally common in circulation. Some collectors compare Denver and Philadelphia issues for differences in strike quality and surface finish. While most examples are similar, certain Denver coins show sharper feather details on the eagle or better definition in Washington's hair, depending on die condition. The 1995 S proof quarter is a standout among collectors. These proof coins exhibit mirror-like fields and frosted design elements, creating strong visual contrast. Proof 1995 S quarters were sold in official U.S. Mint proof sets and were never intended for circulation. High-quality proof coins with deep cameo contrast and minimal imperfections are especially desirable and can command higher prices than circulation strikes. From an economic and historical perspective, the 1995 quarter reflects a period of relative prosperity and stability in the United States. The mid-1990s were marked by economic growth, low inflation, and increasing technological advancement. Cash transactions were still dominant, and the quarter remained one of the most important denominations in everyday American life. Its high demand explains the enormous mintages produced during this year. In terms of collector value, most circulated 1995 P and 1995 D quarters are worth face value. However, uncirculated coins graded Mississippi 65 or higher may carry modest premiums, especially those with exceptional luster and minimal contact marks. The 1995 S-proof quarter generally holds higher value, depending on condition and cameo contrast. Collectors also search for mint errors and varieties among 1995 quarters. While no major double-die varieties are widely recognized, minor errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchettes, lamination errors, and die cracks do exist. These error coins are scarce and can be valuable depending on their visibility and severity. Historically, the 1995 quarter belongs to the final chapter of the original Washington quarter era. Just 4 years later, the U.S. Mint would launch the 50-state quarters program, dramatically changing quarter designs and sparking widespread public interest in coin collecting. As a result, coins like the 1995 quarter now represent the last generation of traditional Washington quarters used in everyday commerce. Educationally, the 1995 quarter is often used to teach new collectors about mint marks, clad coin composition, proof versus circulation strikes, and grading standards. It serves as a practical example of modern U.S. minting practices and the factors that influence a coin's value. The 1979 United States of America quarter dollar is a significant example of late 20th century American circulating coinage and belongs to the long-established Washington quarter series, a design that had already been in continuous use for nearly half a century by the time this coin was issued. Introduced originally in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the Washington quarter replaced the standing Liberty quarter and quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in the United States. By 1979, the design by sculptor John Flanagan had become deeply embedded in American daily life, symbolizing national stability and continuity during a decade marked by economic uncertainty, inflation, and social change. The obverse of the 1979 quarter features a dignified, left-facing portrait of George Washington with his hair tied in a colonial queue, reflecting 18th-century fashion and reinforcing the historical roots of the nation. Above the portrait appears the word, liberty, representing one of America's foundational ideals, while the motto, "In God We Trust," is placed to the left, and the date, 1979, appears on the right, clearly identifying the year of issue. The reverse of the coin displays the traditional heraldic bald eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows in its talons to symbolize strength and readiness to defend the nation, while an olive branch beneath the eagle represents peace. Above the eagle is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, a reference to the unity of the states, and surrounding the design are the inscriptions, United States of America, and quarter dollar, clearly stating the issuing authority and denomination. Like all quarters minted after 1964, the 1979 quarter is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, consisting of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, a composition introduced after the removal of silver from circulating U.S. coinage due to rising silver prices and widespread hoarding in the early 1960s. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge, making it durable for heavy circulation. In 1979, quarter dollars were produced at 3 U.S. Mint facilities: the Philadelphia Mint, which struck coins with no mint mark, the Denver Mint, whose coins carry a D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint, which produced specially struck proof coins bearing an S mint mark for collectors. The Philadelphia and Denver quarters were struck in extremely large numbers to meet the demands of everyday commerce and were widely used in vending machines, parking meters, public transportation systems, laundromats, and retail transactions, resulting in most surviving examples showing noticeable wear, surface marks, and reduced luster, while the San Francisco proof quarters were struck using polished dies and planchettes to produce sharp details and mirror-like fields and were sold in official proof sets rather than released into circulation. The economic backdrop of 1979 adds further importance to this coin, as the United States was facing high inflation, energy shortages, and rising costs of living, making the quarter an essential denomination for daily transactions at a time when prices were increasing and small change remained vital to the functioning of automated services. From a numismatic perspective, the 1979 quarter is generally considered a common coin, with circulated examples typically worth face value, but uncirculated specimens in higher mint state grades can command modest premiums, especially those with strong luster and minimal contact marks, while proof examples are more desirable to collectors due to their superior finish. Additionally, collectors sometimes seek out mint errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, broad strikes, or die cracks, which are relatively scarce and can significantly increase a coin's value. Historically, the 1979 quarter belongs to the later phase of the original Washington quarter era, just 2 decades before the reverse design would be replaced by the 50-state quarters program in 1999, a change that dramatically increased public interest in coin collecting. Although the 1979 United States quarter dollar is not rare or highly valuable in monetary terms, it holds strong historical, cultural, and educational significance, representing the mature stage of modern U.S.-clad coinage, the economic realities of the late 1970s, and the enduring legacy of one of America's most iconic coin designs, making it an important piece for collectors, historians, and anyone interested in the story of everyday American money.